Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, good night, wherever you are in the world. And welcome to Pregnancy and Kayaking with Mariann Saether. My name is Melissa DeMarie, and I'm the host of the show and founder of California Water Sport Collective. We are super excited to have Mariann back on the show today and to hear all of her stories of what it was like to be family planning and pregnant while still getting out there and getting after it. And um yeah. Mariann, welcome back. So stoked to see you again.
Thank you. Yeah.
So I just wanted to say today, because this is a little bit more intimate of a group. During Mariann's chat, her little presentation, if you guys have questions or things like that, go ahead and put them in the chat while she's talking, and either we'll pause and have a little discussion about it, or we'll address it in the Q&A. But please feel free to put in your comments, questions, all that into the chat during her presentation. All right, Mariann, I'm going to stop talking and let you begin.
All right. Cool. Thank you. And thank you, everyone who's actually here um, listening to me again. Maybe some of you. I'm going to be sharing my screen here just in a second. Here we go. Uh, yeah. Okay. I hope you're going to see my screen. So, yeah. I mean, like, I'm always very excited talking about being pregnant and kayaking because I'm not gonna lie, like to me, I thought it was gonna be another class 3. I thought it was gonna be very easy. And it turned out for various reasons that it wasn't. And I'm gonna run you through why that is. But first of all, I really want you to know that I am not a medical person, like I am not a doctor. I have no medical training. Um, what I'm going to tell you and what I talk about in my experiences, they're solely my own. So please, like, don't look at this presentation and then think like, oh, that's how I'm going to do it. So I'm merely giving you a view of how it worked out for me to be pregnant and still being kayaking, just to make that very clear. I have to say though, like I allied myself very quickly with some friends of mine. There are physiotherapists and doctors, or at least one of them. And when I had questions, I asked them, and they would give me advice based on, who I am. And I think that's very, very, very valuable. If you go to a normal doctor and you say like, "Oh, I'm pregnant and I do whitewater kayaking. Can I still do booths over a meter?" Obviously, they're going to look at you like you're crazy. So, to find the people that can actually give you helpful feedback is very valuable, but it's got to be people that know you to begin with. Okay. So, yeah, I just wanted to make that very clear. So, I'll run you down a little bit how it was for me to be pregnant. And I am a teacher by profession, if the ones of you that are here didn't know. So I normally like to have my PowerPoints and my presentations quite like set up and quite, like very structured. But when I started making this presentation, I realized that I just get too emotional, like to be pregnant and still kayaking and like to combine these two things in my life. Like I found it very hard to be structured. So I've put together a presentation that more goes like I'm not going to give you the recipe of being a kayaker and also being pregnant. I'm going to give you an insight into how it was for me to do that. And it might not come across as the most structured presentation, is what I'm trying to say. Okay, I'm going to move on. So, first of all, you know, it's really funny because when I got pregnant, so many of my friends that I thought I really knew, they said, "Oh my God, you pregnant? We thought you would never get pregnant." Like so many of my friends thought I never wanted children. or a family like for my own. And I found that so interesting and maybe like a little bit strange, because in my head, like I always wanted a family, like I want at least two children. I only have one at this point, so I'm putting some pressure on my boyfriend at the moment. um but that was just something that baffled me. It made me really wonder, like, wow, like, okay, that's interesting, because to me, to have a family is wonderful. I think it's the most important thing in the world. And to add on to that, like if I could have a family that I could share some values with and some passions with, it'd be even more wonderful. And I grew up, as Melissa, we talked about this before on my other talk, is that I didn't grow up in a whitewater family. I grew up in a very standard, normal family. Amazing. My family is great, but like I mean, I was told the river is not the place to go. You should stay away from the river. Very dangerous. You will drown. So I would like to share this little video with you. This is from 3 days ago. And this is actually the first time that my son went kayaking in a river in his own kayak. Before this, he has been sitting in the kayak mini-me from and designed from Corin Addison. He had been sitting in it before and he'd taken some strokes, but this was the first time we paddled, and I was just so amazed. So I'm just going to share it with you, because this is what I pictured when I got pregnant. And I'm so excited and I'm so grateful. It makes me want to, I would like to cry right now, just like watching my son. He's 3.5 years old, just taking these strokes on his own, and we're going down the river. And I have to admit that at the end of this run, he actually flipped over in an eddy line. He was sitting in an eddy and he was like playing around with the eddy line, and you can tell this river is not very big. And he was playing around with the eddy line, and I said, "Oh, you should really watch that upstream paddle." And then 30 seconds later, he did not watch it, and then he flipped over, and then he cried. And then I told him, like, "Oh, like, it's okay. I know it's cold and it's a bit scary," because I got him right away. Like, he flipped over, and I obviously pulled him into my kayak right away. And I told him, like, yes, it's scary, but you know what? Mama swims all the time. And he's like, no, I don't believe you. So, like, 20 meters further downstream, we were basically at takeout. I flipped over as well and swam, and I was not wearing a wetsuit and not a dry suit. I was wearing bikini and shorts, and this was very cold. This water is coming from the mountains. But then he was very happy. So this is when I thought about getting pregnant, like, and I thought about having a family. This is what I pictured. This is my dream scenario, that I would go kayaking with my son or daughter and my family. And I got it. And I mean, it's just really amazing. I need to move on because I'm going to start crying. Okay, here we go. So I do believe, and I'm sure I'm breaking a lot of conventions saying a few things in this little presentation, but I do believe, like, it's very good to be fit if you're even thinking about becoming pregnant. It's not like I think, like, if you're not that fit, that you should right away, like, start exercising, like doing pull-ups like I did here, or climbing or running sprints or whatever, like, before you get pregnant. But I have to say, like, the fact that I was very fit when I became pregnant, I think it helped me a lot. I think it made my pregnancy a lot easier. Now, so my situation this year when I got pregnant, this was in 2015. I had to think. 2015. I came out of a season of trying slalom, doing like a whole season of slalom. And obviously it made me very fit. You can see, like, I've been obviously training a lot of slalom this summer and this season, and it worked in the way that I think it made me more, after I gave birth, obviously, like, Yeah, we can talk about that a little bit in a little bit. But actually, but before like I even got pregnant, I think it gave me a little bit of an advantage. We got pregnant on the first try, and I have to say, like now we've been trying to get pregnant for a second time. It's a little bit of a secret, not really a secret, but we've been trying. And now I'm not so much fit, and it's the only thing that's a little bit different in my life, o- other than being older. Um, like we're not getting pregnant as quickly, and I think like just being fit, if you want to have a child to begin with, is gonna help you so much. So yeah, it's just my little like, whoo, try to think about your physical condition before you get pregnant. It's going to help you also when you're pregnant. And I'm going to get back to that because it doesn't always help you when you're actually going to give birth. But I'm going to get back to that. That's one of my bad experiences, but we'll leave that for now. Yeah. So this first picture is actually me like as I'm getting pregnant. I was very healthy, very fit. The other picture is of me, I think 4 months into my pregnancy, and I was still trying to be very fit. And that's also another point. I have seen my little fair share of people that say, like, oh, I'm pregnant now, I'm gonna do nothing. Like I need to not do much. And there's different reasons for that. Some people really believe that to not do that much is gonna cause no harm or no risk to your child. And I respect that. That is I would never say anything against it, to be honest. It's just, I mean, it's obvious now. When we get pregnant, the most important person in our entire life is our child. It's the same for me. Even though I kept kayaking through my pregnancy, my belief was that kayaking was going to help me um, create a better environment for my child to grow. And I think that's very important also for you guys to understand. Like I had a pregnancy that was very uncomplicated physically, mentally when it comes to myself, but quite complicated when it came to the people around me. But my main thought before I got pregnant was like, I will go along with what my brain says and what my heart says and what my body is telling me to do. So yeah, I'll be talking a lot more about this in just a second. So yeah, when you're thinking about getting pregnant or even, like trying to have a child, and then you get to the point where you gotten pregnant, it's very good to start thinking that you're going to set yourself up for success when it comes to activity, even before you become pregnant. Because for me, it was essential. Like I knew that I was going to always stay active. So I was like, I'm going to get pregnant. I should really get in touch with some of the people that have been helpful to me in the past, which is, for example, Sandyline Fempkin. Sandyline, she's always been amazing to me. I'm not a sponsored athlete by any means, but she's been helping me out with gear. And I told Femke, like, I'm trying to get pregnant. Uh, what do I do about a spray skirt? And she's like, oh, don't worry, we'll make you a really big one. So this is the first time that I actually put on a spray skirt. That's like in like this specific spray skirt. That's probably in like month 8, I think. I decided like now it's time to put on a spray skirt. So to set yourself up for success to be able to do activity during your pregnancy, like it doesn't start when you're, like 6 months pregnant. You should think about this upfront. And I know like right in this example, like for me, Sandyline was amazing, but I'm sure IR would be very accommodating also to help out with gear. And yeah, so don't be shy of like looking for um, everything that's going to help you get on the river basically when you're pregnant. And just a little bit about when it comes to exercise as you are pregnant. I think this is me pushing weights, and don't worry, they were not that heavy. I think this may be in like 8th month as well, the 8th month. Um, when I did go into the gym, something that I found very helpful is that I talked to the receptionist up front and I said, "Oh, you can tell I'm very pregnant." And I mean, it's also my local gym, so they knew. And I said, like, "What time of the day is it not so busy?" And then they were very helpful with finding times of the day that they thought the gym would be very quiet, because the one thing that I felt that kept me off from going to the gym or trying to work out was that people would look at me and be very judgmental. I felt watched. As my belly grew and I was trying to do pull-ups, I felt not stupid, but I felt that people were judging me, and it wasn't comfortable. And it put me off a few times from going to the gym. So in the end, I was like, okay, I'm going to team up with my gym. I'm going to go and talk to them. And they're like, oh, we totally understand. So, on Friday nights between 7 and 8, there's no one here. You should really come in then and do your exercises. And I did. And I felt so much better going to the gym. Because, I mean, obviously, like there's a lot going on when you're pregnant, like, and you really just want to go in there and not to like really push your limits, but it's nice to go in and maybe do um, a little bit of your routine, and you're gonna feel better afterwards. And if there's something we know that movement and exercise helps us feel better, and it's the same when you're pregnant. Nothing changes. So I think unless you have a medical condition that keeps you staying still, you should seek movement in your pregnancy. You should seek activity. It will make, I think, your brain a lot more healthy. Okay. So the other thing I would like to talk about is what you tell your friends. Because I have to say, one of my main struggles um, being pregnant was that I thought, because I don't know how it is where you are all situated, but here in Norway, we're quite liberal. We're used to having women's right. Everyone can do whatever they want, without hurting anyone, obviously. Um, And I was always told, also when I was kayaking, biking, when I was doing extreme sports, like, oh, I mean, if you want to get pregnant, it's up to you, it's only up to you, like what you want to do when you're pregnant. If you feel it's okay to go kayaking, you should go kayaking, and everyone respects that. And I really believe this. It's not true. It's the one thing I found out. It's really not true. So, what I experienced a lot is that as I got bigger, as more people realized I was pregnant, it wasn't accepted that I came along and did my thing, whether it was kayaking, biking. I'm also a paraglider. Um, it just wasn't accepted in the same way by the general peers. And that to me was very shocking. And it's actually what caused me the most drama in my pregnancy, was realizing that people thought that I was a really bad person for wanting to stay active in my fields of activity. Because it's for everyone, it's easy to accept that of course she's going for a run, or she's, yeah, she can go for a walk, she can go for a swim, but to go kayaking, whitewater kayaking, to go climbing, or to go biking, not to mention paragliding. I mean, then people, unless you're a professional in all those fields, people really, or even when you are, people really, in general, tend to judge you. I was not prepared for that at all. I thought because I'm a professional, well, professional, at least I've kayaked for 25 years on whitewater. I thought that would be very accepted, and in many ways it was. And this is really about like finding your group, realizing what's your inner circle of friends, talk to them that you would still like to stay active, that you, if it all works out, and that's important, Because one thing is like the idea we have up front before we're pregnant, or even when we're a little bit pregnant, like just the first few months, that we would like to kayak all the way through pregnancy. You have to tell them that, and then you have to tell them, but it might change. I might change, I don't know. And that's very honest. So I found very quickly that my circle, my inner circle of friends, those were the ones that I could uh, rely on or do activities with. So to keep going on this is something that really was a problem for me, actually. Um, I really thought in my head there would be no problems. I had groups of people, or like some circles of friends, maybe not my closest friends, but like some circles of friends telling me straight up that they didn't want me on the river when I was pregnant. They did not want to go biking with me. They definitely did not want to go paragliding with me, which is, of the three scenarios, one that I really understand, because I am not that good of a paraglider, and I'm gonna get back to that in a little bit. But like, to find your little circle of friends that you lean on as you're pregnant, and really believe them when they say that they trust you, that's very valuable. Because in the end, like, it is our decisions as being pregnant. It's our decision what we want to do. And again, I want to say, it's not that I went kayaking, it's not that I went paragliding, nor biking, nor skiing, because I just wanted to like, uh, uphold this image of myself. And I think that's where some people got it wrong. Like, I really truly believe that some people have looked at me over the years, and this is me personally again. Um, some people have looked at me thinking like, oh, but she's just this extreme sport athlete. She wants to uphold that image, and that's what she's gonna do. And it's not about that. It's like, for me to be outside in nature and trusting myself. I know myself the best. That's where it's all at, like, if I can be happy pregnant kayaking, I can be happy pregnant biking or paragliding. If I'm happy, my child is happy. And I think that is just really important to remember. If you are happy not doing these sports, then don't do them. If you're happy kayaking, class 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe not class 5 after a little while, but you know, again, I'm not going to say anything. But I always thought, and this was something that I thought very thoroughly about before I got pregnant, and in my first month of being pregnant, was like, I really believe that if I'm happy, that happiness will help my child to be healthy and good. And I would never do anything, like, who would, I would never do anything that could cause risk to my child that's not born yet. And that's what's really hard for people to understand, that people don't get the fact that I can paddle a class 4 rapid or river, or I can bike something, or I can even paraglide. And I know with myself that it's more dangerous for me to cross the road, or even to try and walk on some uneven ground, than actually doing these activities. I had some examples where when I was very pregnant, I was in my 8th month, or ninth, not ninth month, 8.5. Um, and we were out on a road trip, me and my boyfriend. And I would take one step out of my kayak to look at this rapid, and I would fall over on my belly. I face planted over my belly because my balance was way off. Actually, my balance was the best in the kayak. And he just looked at me. My boyfriend is like, why don't you just get back in the kayak? You should just run this rapid. It's way safer for our child. And I was like, yes, you are exactly right. So I did that a few times. But yeah, I mean, like, to actually know your peers, and to know that even though you think you convey to them that you want to stay active, it's not so easy for everyone around you to accept that. And to find your circle of friends, like these people here in the photo, I just have to say, like, these two photos, this is Dag here, and this is Julian. Dag is from Voss, a very good guy, very good friend of mine. Julian's from Switzerland, pretty much Norwegian at this point. Um, and then my boyfriend, we hiked into this, what turned out to be the second descent of a river in northern Norway. And the hike in was, yes, 9 hours. It took 9 hours. As you can see, I wasn't carrying much. I was carrying my backpack, a paddle for the photo once in a while. Those guys were carrying their boats in, and the trail was really bad. And we got in there and we stayed in a cabin. It was amazing. And the second day, they hiked a little bit further, and I was hiking back out. And that's when I realized, like, oh, maybe this was not really thought out, because at 8.5 months pregnant, I had to hike out 9 hours alone. And then to add on to that, so, and this is why I actually love this story. It's like Julian over here, he was gonna kayak the river, like being a normal, very fit Swiss Norwegian guy. He's gonna kayak the river, and he came to me that morning as they were hiking up, and I was gonna hike back down on my own, no cell phone service. And he said, "Oh, Mariann, do you mind carrying my sleeping bag back out? I don't really want to have it in the back of my kayak going down this river. It's the second descent." And it just threw me off so much. I just said, "Of course, no problem. I'll carry your sleeping bag back out." So I did that. I put his stuff in my backpack and I hiked out alone. And I have to say, like, I shaved off 2 hours of our time. I was back in 7 hours. So yeah, it was an amazing trip. And I was very lucky because I was very fit throughout my pregnancy. And I know there's other pregnancies out there that are not so, they don't go this way. And I think maybe the main thing is that we never know this up front. Like, it's, you hope you have a good pregnancy where you stay fit the whole time, but you don't know. So a little bit like what I found out when I was pregnant is, like, you have an idea, you have some values, and then you have a goal, but you need to always adjust. You need to adjust your mindset, your goals, and if it at any point feels wrong to do what you're doing, then you stop it. So maybe that's one of the more important lessons to come up with. And then I have to say, everyone needs a friend. Everyone needs a best friend. This girl, I just want to share this with you. She's a little bit older than me, actually. Doesn't look like in this photo, maybe. And she's really rad. And she is the only friend that I had in my whole pregnancy that stuck with me. So when I was 7 months pregnant, we decided to go on a road trip together. This is after I'd been told off by a few of our friends, a few of our circle of friends, that they didn't want to bike with me anymore. Some people weren't that happy kayaking with me either. And I totally get it, because it's not like I understand their thought, because having me along on their trips, they just didn't want to deal with the added stress of maybe something happening and me ruining their day or being a part of a bad scenario. And I totally respect that, and I understand it. I just wish they came to me up front and said this, and they didn't. I had to hear it from various channels. Um, but this woman, so she stuck with me the whole pregnancy. Yeah, and she's still my best friend. Uh, and the one thing that she always said, didn't matter what we did. We were paragliding together, we were kayaking together, we were biking together. It didn't matter. She told me, "I trust you. I trust that when you tell me that you are not going to do anything that's going to cause harm, then I'm going to believe you." So the trust she put in me was amazing. Now I get a little bit of a visitor. Hi. Can you say hi? Kan de si hei? Nei, jeg er litt grann, sjenert. Yeah. So to have a friend like that is so valuable. And you don't need a lot of friends like this, but at least to have one that you're straight up with up front, and you're like, I'm pregnant. I would really like to keep being active throughout my pregnancy. Like, I do this and I do this, but I will always be very careful and I will listen to myself. And to have them actually um, or have this person believe in that and and be there by your side, it makes such a difference. So we don't need a lot of people around us, but we need the important ones. I think that I learned. I was going to say very quickly, not that quickly. I learned it at least halfway through my pregnancy. Okay. So yeah, as I told you, I'm not very structured with this talk because I feel I've talked a lot to people after I was pregnant about being pregnant. And for me, like it was such a positive feeling, like my body was working well. I was so happy with being pregnant. I felt very good with me and my child, but it felt not very often that good with the people around me. But the one thing I realized and that I really stuck to was don't forget your own dreams as you're being pregnant. I believe that it's not like you just drop everything and when you're pregnant, you're over in this category, like, oh, she's pregnant. And then that kind of fences you in. I don't believe so. I think we still need to focus on what makes us happy. And for me, it was important to still fulfill my dreams. So when I was 5 months pregnant, I went back to Chile. Obviously, it's easy for me because I have a cabin there. And I was still kayaking. I'll show you. I was still running the throne and oh, wait a second. I was running these rapids that were still pretty big, but I was there with a good friend of ours. And he really took care of me, like mainly off the river, obviously. And he trusted me on the river. And as much as I don't want to say this, but I did find throughout my whole pregnancy that men were not judging too much me, but I found that women were judging me a lot and a lot more than what I thought up front. And that was a little bit of a shock, and I was very disappointed on behalf of our gender. Uh, but I went to Chile and I really enjoyed my time in Chile, and I was still running some really nice whitewater. And like I just made sure that I was trying to follow my dreams a bit. And don't get me wrong, I was fully employed at this time. I had a 100% job, and I filed for a 3-week leave, and I could afford that obviously because I was in a full-time position. Um, and I remember, like my boss, she's like, "You really want to go when you're this much pregnant?" And I was like, "Yes, I want to go and live my dream still." I mean, obviously, like the most important thing is my child, but I'm also here. It's important for me to still keep myself happy because if I'm happy, my child will be happy. So yeah, skip over that. And and this is something I find hard. Many people have asked me while I was pregnant and after I was pregnant, like, why did I have to keep doing these things? Why do I need to carry my kayak? Oh, no, I didn't carry my kayak, the paddle and my backpack for 9 hours to take part of uh, a river adventure, that I wasn't really taking part of because I was just hiking for 9 hours and then 7 hours back out. Why do I need to go and ski? Why do I have to keep going on rivers where I have to move? Why on earth did I keep paragliding till I was 7 months pregnant? Well, I think maybe that's one of the hardest things to explain to people. But first of all, we're all different. And I am one of the people that when I did get pregnant, in my head, not a lot of things changed. I know that some people say like, oh, and then I got pregnant and then all I wanted to do is just chill and relax and like I just wanted to make sure my child is safe. And I understand that and I fully respect it. But for me, when I think 100% to the fingertips, to the tip of my toe that my child is safe when I do these activities. In addition, they also make me very happy. That's my answer. That's why I wanted to keep doing this. And it's so hard for, I was going to say, normal people to understand, but not just normal people. Very many in the kayaking scene too have given me comments like, why do you need to push this? And I don't really have a good answer except that I at the bottom of it, I think that if I keep my child safe while I'm pregnant and I do what I'm the best at doing, then it's okay. That's like a win-win. So yeah, but this is not something that you're gonna find um, acceptance for in general society. I'm just gonna say that right away. Now, to get specifically down to kayaking right now. So the one worry I had in my pregnant life was boofing. Like I obviously the first 3 months are very crucial to the fetus. Like you should be very careful, no trauma. Obviously, like you have to take it easy. And I have a friend of mine, she's a doctor, and I have another friend from school, and she's a physiotherapist. And I was asking them like, can I boof drops like 1 meter, 2 meter, 10 meter? Obviously not 10 meter, but like at least like how what should I think? Like, what should be my limit, And obviously, they are very outdoorsy people. Um, and they're actually the doctor friend, she has experience from whitewater, a lot of it. But they couldn't give me any exact answers. But what they did say, they're like, take it easy the first 3 months. So I did. I really took it easy. I went slalom paddling. I did cross country skiing. I took it super easy. And then they said, and then after the 3 months, it's not like you can be like rock and roll. Now I'm going to go and boof a 10 meter. But they said, but remember that from nature's side, the child is protected in a can you call it like a sack of water? So he or she very protected. And as long as you don't go over like ridiculous heights, and they told me like if you want to boof maybe like 1, 2, 3 meter, depending on how you land. So here it comes again. Obviously, you shouldn't land super flat. That wouldn't be so good. But if you can control your landing, then they were saying like, yeah, up to 1, 2 to 3 meters is totally fine for a long time in your pregnancy because the child is protected. And yeah, you shouldn't worry too much. And I was like, really? I'm not going to give him or her concussion? And they're like, no, it's a reason why. Um, it's a reason why they're staying in this sack of water. Again, I am not a doctor. They told me certain things. They also knew that they know me. So please don't now go out and be like 4 months pregnant or 5 months pregnant and boof a 4 meter and something happens. I mean, we need to use our brains, like I also say this because I am used to kayaking. I've kayaked for 25 years. I can control my angle of the boat, and I was not going very high. And so this is what I did highest from I was pregnant, actually all the way through my pregnancy. This is the highest I boofed, and I guess I mean like it's my local run in Voss, and it feels always like it's only 2 meters, but I can tell here that it's more. It's probably more like maybe the booth itself, maybe it is 3 meters landing. And I only did this in I'd say up to, I was maybe 4 or 5 months pregnant, 4.5. And then I felt not good anymore. But actually, what put me off this particular run, was what comes downstream, because it's a technical run and there were rapids downstream that had rocks in them. And I wasn't comfortable with, like suddenly flipping over and then hitting rocks. Yeah. But when it comes to boofing, I think we all just need to, it's better to play it safe than not, but you also have to look at yourself and your limits. And if you're used to doing a lot of 1 meter boofs on your river, just do that. It's fine. You're not gonna, well, I shouldn't say this because I'm not a doctor, but I do believe like we can continue with doing what we're used to for a while. And then if you get worried about it, then you stop. Always listen to yourself. Listen to yourself, don't listen at others. I think that's really important to remember. And that's what I really thought I really thought it would be a bit different being pregnant. I thought I wouldn't meet so much prejudice trying to be active and still doing the sports that we know how to do. But there were quite a lot, and there were prejudice from people very close to us too. But yeah, when it comes to boofing, I think use common sense, do what's comfortable for you. Most of us don't really want to boof too high drops anyways, and just the normal moves in the river, like a half a meter, like I really believe that's totally fine. Your comfort level should continue through your pregnancy. Now, competing, oh God, this is also a bit of a, I need to check the time. Oh, I keep talking. Yes, I'm a teacher. I like to talk. Competing. It's a bit of a tricky topic. It's another one, like when you get pregnant, most people think that you will just stop competing. They're like, what for? You're not gonna win. Yeah, most times you're not gonna win unless you're Serena Williams or you're Emily Jackson in playboating, like, yes, we're not gonna win, but um, so many of us really like, we like competing, like, when I was about, let's say, 4.5 months pregnant, that's when this picture is taken in that competition, just before that competition. I competed in a very low-key race in Norway, and I won, and it was really cool. And at that point, um, I just didn't feel like it was affecting me too much to be pregnant. And my mental game hadn't changed. And I know we're different, like for me being pregnant, it didn't change much of my I still knew what I could do, and I trusted what I can do, and the fact that I'm responsible of another person, it didn't screw with my confidence in this way. It screwed with my confidence in many other ways, but in this way, I still knew that I can kayak. I still knew that I can get down this rapid. I still knew that I could do this really safely. So competing was for me like something I thought I would just keep doing throughout my pregnancy. And then we came to middle of June, and yes, I was 7.5 months pregnant. Maybe, yeah, 7.5 months pregnant, or 7. I was getting bigger. Uh, and we had the Extreme Sport Week in Voss, which is a competition that I've gone to for 20 years. I really know the river. I've run it at least 100 times. No, more, way more, many more times. And the chances of me flipping over on that river, even though there are shallow slides, the chances of that, because it's happened literally 2 times in the past 20 years, um, they're like so little, and it's a bigger chance of me flipping over, like walking to the bathroom almost. So I was like in my head very ready to still compete, and not competing for winning, competing to take part, competing to um, and not to challenge myself, but for me, like competing, because I've done it so much, it's something, it gives me a lot of joy to compete. It gives me a lot of joy to take part. And I was planning on taking eddies, like taking my time. And I thought it would be really neat because the first time I ran that race, uh, I was uh, I was an okay kayaker, but I was very new to the kayaking scene, and I took a lot of eddies from put in to take out, like from start line to finish line. And in a way, in my head, I was like, it's so nice to do that again, like not always going straight down and being super fast. Like, I'll just take my time. And then I got so many bad comments before that. Just as soon as I opened my mouth and said that, oh yeah, I'm considering maybe competing, I had comments from people that were my friends, that were not my friends, and not organizers, not sponsors. And that's the thing, actually. All my sponsors were very happy that I got pregnant. They were very positive and very stoked. A lot of support, because we are, in the end, good role models on the river, being still out there, doing the sports we love to do, because it shows that, like we love what we do. And yeah, so I backed off from competing. And if there's anything I think about once in a while, like it's the one time in my pregnancy that I listened to, or I caved into what the people around me said. And in the end, it's not a big deal. It's totally fine. It's not like I I don't lose any sleep over it. But it reminds me sometimes that it's good to know yourself. But sometimes you maybe have to pick your battles. And that battle, I decided that I'm not going to fight that battle. So I stood on the sideline. I coached the girls. Some of the people that were competing to find good race lines, and yeah, it was also really nice. It was still a really good experience. But yeah, competing, Natalie, you might have to talk about this if you're watching this. Natalie Anderson, she's a beast. Um, I know that she competed at the NFC last year being pregnant, so I think she's probably gonna uh, cover this a little bit more than I'm gonna do. Yeah, okay, keep going. I'm gonna show you my limit. This was my limit when I was pregnant. I ran this rapid when I was um, about last time, maybe about 8 months pregnant. It's in the north. It's now my home run. It wasn't at the time. I felt very comfortable running these kind of rapids when I was pregnant, quite pregnant, because they are more of like big volume. It's not creaking. I was not scared of, being hit in the belly. I could roll. I was very lucky. I could back deck roll till birth, and I'm gonna blame that or give credit to my playboating background. So back deck rolling helped me a lot to stay in my kayak because I knew, obviously that's a key thing. Like, if you flip over, you're gonna roll up, even when you're 8 months pregnant. So the back deck roll was for me very crucial. So maybe that is a tip if you think if you know in your head that you would like to keep paddling throughout your pregnancy, then maybe refining your back deck roll maybe is not a bad thing. I mean, I was lucky enough that I have it in my repertoire. Like I can always perform a back deck roll. But this is my limit. And to some people, this is crazy, Like to some people, this is not what you should be paddling when you're 8 months pregnant. And that's fine. I respect that. I don't need to argue about that. But I also would really like people to respect my opinion back that this to me at this point is not a bad, or it's not difficult even. Like it's actually safer than me walking around the rapid, because I did try that. I remember one time and I fell over on my belly, and my boyfriend, he's like, Mariann, you should just really get back in the kayak. I don't want you walking around like that. You're way safer in your kayak paddling the rapid. And I was like, yes, you're right. Okay, playboating. Playboating, I didn't do much playboating when I was kayaking. Again, I think it's totally fine when I was pregnant. I think it's totally fine. I know Emily Jackson has been a beast in this. She's had talks already. She's proved that you can be very pregnant and do super well. But when it comes to me, I'm just gonna tell you that I just didn't go much playboating. I was focusing on getting on the river and going downstream. To me, it always made a lot of sense to go downstream, but to actually like go for these big waves and stuff. And again, I think maybe Natalie would have a little bit more insight because she's more of a big volume playboater than me. And she can tell you maybe a little bit more about how that felt for her in some of the webinars. But maybe because she's doing a postpartum webinar, like how it is after you give birth. But to me, I'm just going to say like this wasn't really like a much of a topic for me. I didn't really go playboating. So in case you wondered, I don't have much input, but I think it's totally fine if you're good with playboating. Okay. Now, this one is a bit important. And this was one of the big surprises when I was pregnant and trying to still be kayaking. And don't worry, I'm almost done. I know I talk a lot when I get going, but I thought everyone would be coming to me asking questions, wondering how it is, like, and anyways, like I thought people would come to me directly. And me and my partner, this is Ron, um, the father of my child, he experienced so much that people came to him and they asked him, how can you allow it? And how can you be comfortable with her kayaking? How can you be comfortable with her biking? Well, I kind of understand the biking. I'm not as good as a biker as a kayaker, and also paragliding. I'm not that good of a paraglider. But it was very shocking to us, and he got very direct questions. He even was approached with questions like, don't you think she's going to kill your child? I mean, like it just baffled us. We did not see that come. We were not prepared, and he was just like, uh, No, of course not. So like, if there's a good advice I can say, like if you have a partner, you guys should talk up front and prepare the other partner that this person will get maybe just as many questions as you as the pregnant one about um, how this is reasonable, how can she, or like how can she keep kayaking or doing all these activities? Are you not scared? And so it's important that your partner is sharing your visions and your goals and your ideas. And I was very lucky. My partner Ron, like he really was amazing throughout pregnancy. Um, Also because he knows me, obviously he knows who I am. He trusted me. He really trusted me, just like my friend Gunvor. It was the two people in my entire life that trusted my decision making. It and I have to say, they were the only two. My mom was, like being a little bit like, "Oh, why do you have to keep kayaking?" Random strangers that saw me kayaking or putting on clothes, they were like, "Why do you have to keep kayaking?" Or people that I've only biked with a little bit, or but that I know, like girls, they were like, "We don't want to we don't want to go biking with her." Um, and I have to say, like, just that you and your partner think through this, that's very important, because at least that's my experience. We got thrown off so much, and he was like, he sometimes he didn't even really know what to answer, like he could say like, well, obviously I trust her, she's making good decisions, and people were like, yeah, but she could kill your child. And it's just such a strong statement to get thrown in your face as the partner. So just to like, maybe I'm throwing it out there for you guys to talk and just be prepared that people will be very critical, also to the partner. Yeah, I want to say like, I I wanted to make this speech or this presentation a lot more structured, and I have it all lined up front. But as I started going through it, like I get very emotional. And I have to say, like, I cannot wait to be pregnant the second time, because I learned so much from my first time. And maybe the few things that I want to point out is that um, when you become pregnant or before you become pregnant, you might have two separate ideas. Before you're pregnant, you might want to be, the active all the way through your pregnancy. You want to maybe, uh, you still want to continue with your goals. And obviously, you want to always take care of your child. It's number one priority. But then throughout your pregnancy, you might change your views or your visions or just your gut feeling, and that is okay. I think, and I try to tell this to a few people, like I always followed my gut, like how it felt like inside my stomach and my heart, and I trusted that feeling, and that's important. And this feeling can change. And for me, it didn't. Like I went into my pregnancy thinking that I wanted to stay active, that I would have supportive friends, um, because I thought that doing this would keep me happy, and that will keep my child happy, and it will also make me a better mother afterwards, because it will make sure that I keep being active, and I'm still true to myself after birth too. Um, and this was like my idea up front, and for me this stayed the same throughout my pregnancy, but it might change for you or for your friend, like, and that's totally fine. I Hormones to growing a child is no joke. It really isn't. It's the most amazing thing in the world. And yeah, I uh, I just want to say like, it's probably the biggest class 5 I will ever experience until the next one, and this is quite a cliche. And I also have to say, being pregnant with everything that came with it up front during pregnancy and after, like it's it's made me grow so much as a human, as a friend, as another, or like as a mother. It is literally the most amazing thing in the world. And then we just have to handle the challenges that comes along with it. Yeah. Okay. I think that's it, Melissa. I think I've talked enough.
Thank you so much for that. That was absolutely beautiful. Thank you for your candor, your honesty. I feel like it was really courageous for you to share your stories with us today, and thank you. That was really lovely. So anyways, if we are now open for a question and answer session. So if you have questions, if you've been here before, the way that we do this is you put your question into the chat. You don't have to write the whole thing out. You could even just say, I have a question, and we'll go through the chat and call on people, and we'll unmute you while you're talking, and then we'll put you back on mute just so we don't get distracted. So we're going to start with Chelsea. Hey, Chelsea, good to see you. Chelsea is, I just have to say, a good friend of mine, and so I've been having the pleasure of paddling with her while she's pregnant.
Yeah, thanks. This has been super relevant for me. I'm like 39 weeks pregnant now, I think.
Amazing.
And I think I'm like you, I've had a really easy pregnancy so far. And I feel like my level of activity has probably been limited more by a pandemic than being pregnant. But something that people warn me about, or whatever, you know, any yoga apps always warn me, is like your level of the hormone relaxin. And I've heard of women that have gotten injured doing activities. I'm just wondering if like you had any doctors talk to you about that, or if that was a concern, or if your just overall fitness made it irrelevant.
I'm gonna have to say, like, I'm not even really sure. I don't understand the question. I don't understand hormone relaxin, and that's probably just my Norwegian, like me being Norwegian. But like, because you did write in the chat, like if I was concerned about injury
Yeah.
due to activity. No, I was not. I was not. But as I said as well, like I was very fit going into pregnancy. It's like I've never been that fit in my entire life. I probably never will be that fit again. So I think I need to schedule in another talk after I have my second child if that happens, because I'm not that fit now, and I'm not pregnant, but I hope I will be. But yeah, so I wasn't really worried about injury, but I also don't understand really this like increased hormone relaxin. Can you like tell me?
Just by yoga apps, like be careful that you could injure yourself because you have these hormones that make you more flexible.
Oh,
So,
uh-huh.
and like, yeah,
Okay.
increases your muscles, and yeah, that
Okay, I
sort of
get it.
thing.
I'm actually like hyper flexible. Is that what you call it?
Mm.
Like where all my joints go the wrong way. So that for me was just never really a thing. And I can't remember actually having been warned against that either. So no, I'm sorry. I can't help you on that one.
Okay. Yeah, I feel like my concern is almost like injuring myself, almost more than, you know.
Well, is this because like your body is gonna put on more weight, you know, and you're carrying heavier? Is that what it's coming from? Like,
I'm a
cause
very inflexible person, and just my belly feels tighter. So yeah, like rolling is something I've been like, ooh, I don't know how that's
okay,
like feeling, and if, you know, just the belly area feels so tight now. If like, I just feel like I could pull something really easy. Um,
right. Yeah, and also depends a little bit like because I always did playboarding, so for me to like to do a back deck roll, I could not do a front roll
okay, that's good to know. Yeah.
since I was probably like 4 months pregnant almost.
Mm.
Like I just couldn't. But because I did so much playboarding, I can really roll the boat without using much of my core or anything. It's really just a little bit in my hip and then my paddle positioning.
Mm-hmm.
So I went to back deck roll always the few times I had to roll. But if you don't have the back deck roll in your repertoire, like in your routine, then maybe that's a little bit hard to right now
Yeah.
get, you know? Yeah. Then I would rather just play it safe, you know, and if you say it's really tight for you to roll right now front, like try to avoid it,
Yeah.
obviously. And yeah, I can imagine like if that's what you're doing, rolling frontwards and you're feeling tight, you're gonna pull something. And I just didn't have to worry about that because I didn't do the front roll. Yeah.
Cool. Thank you.
No one else. Melissa, you're unmuted. Oh, you're muted. I mean, sorry.
Oh,
There
thank
we
you.
go.
You think I haven't already done like 18 of these webinars
Yeah.
in the last month? Anyways, I think that's it on our questions. I feel like your presentation was just, it was lovely. It was wonderful. And but if you have any closing comments or anything you'd like to say while we wrap
Yeah, I
up?
gotta say, like, being pregnant is the most amazing thing in the world. And at the end of the day, it's just, I think it's really important to stay true to yourself, and yourself can change. You know, like what feels true to yourself in the first couple of weeks can maybe it's not relevant in your last weeks, you know, like, and that's totally fine. We just need to really listen to our body and our ourselves, and that's totally fine. And don't listen to everyone else around you.
I think Franzi
Oh,
has one question for you about, because you did mention
yeah.
something about being fit and giving birth.
Yes, and that was actually a big surprise. Because I was under the impression always that being fit is the most amazing thing when you're pregnant and you're gonna have such an easy pregnancy. And yes, I do feel that being fit helped me a lot. But then I got to the hospital, and the problem was that there were a couple of problems, but the main thing is that I had so much stomach muscle, so much core muscle still, even though of course they split. You know, when you get in your final trimester, they start splitting your stomach muscles. I still had so much core muscles, and these core muscles, when my contraction started, my core muscles cramped, and they were keeping, you know, the other muscles from pulling. I don't know what you call it in English, but like you need an opening, you know, to give birth. um, and they would just hinder this to happen. So even after, I think I was in labor for almost 25 hours, and I had a 2 centimeter opening. And many women go into labor and they have an opening of 9 centimeters within 2 hours. And I mean, like having an opening, you know, like it's basically your bones moving, like it's your body getting ready. So I was in the hospital and I just couldn't understand why this was happening. And I was in agony, and I was like, they were trying to put me in a bath, and they were like, in the end, they're like, oh, should we not try this, you know, this anesthetics that they put in your back? Epidural, we say in Norwegian, epidural. It actually makes your whole lower back just relax, like your lower body, you just relax. And I was like, yes. And then they told me, but you checked the form saying you don't want this. Like before I went into pregnancy, like you know, like 10 months ago, I had checked this at one point that I didn't want this kind of help. And I'm gonna tell her, like, I want, like, next time I get pregnant, this is gonna be like in big letters. I want this to help me. Because as soon as I got that, all my muscles, my core muscles relaxed, and then the opening came right away, and it was over in like 6 more hours. But still, yeah, it took a long time. And they were saying, very typical, they see this a lot from athletes. So we have a lot of cross-country athletes in Norway, and they were saying that those girls always struggle with birth because their core muscles are hindering the actual the opening that will allow you to give birth. So yes, that was for me something that I thought for my next pregnancy, I am not really going to do a lot of push-ups and or sit-ups. I'm not going to work my core muscles too much.
Awesome. Right on. Good questions. Well, yes, anyways, thanks so much for being here. That was, like I said, that was amazing. And come back, everyone, on June 9th. We are going to have Pregnancy and Kayaking Part 2 with Natalie Kramer Anderson, and she is going to get a bit more into what happens paddling postpartum and how to get back in your boat. So there's the other side of that coin. So please come back and see us again. We have, goodness, we also have 2 more sea kayaking webinars. We have Surf Zone on Saturday, and we have Understanding the Ocean, talking about wind, on Sunday. And then we have Natalie's talk on the 9th. And then June 14th is Amazon Women. Darcy Getcher is going to be talking about her Source to Sea expedition down the Amazon and the book that she wrote about it. So please come back, see us again. We are going to keep these going. We're probably not going to do 3 of them a week, but stay posted and stay tuned and tell your friends. And if you have friends that missed this today, it will be on our shop page. So definitely come and check that out afterwards. But thank you so much. And we hope to see you all again soon. All right. Take care. Bye-bye.
All right.